Welcome back, Careblazer. In today's video, I'm answering a question that a subscriber left under one of my videos. So a subscriber left a question under one of my videos, and it had to do with his mom having a lot of anxiety and fear about people calling her on the phone. So this is exactly what he said. My mom is terrified of the phone and doesn't want it in her room. When it rings, she jumps out of her skin, wondering if she'll be able to have a normal conversation with one of her 5 kids or even know who is calling. She has moderate dementia and she knows it, and it really bothers her. She's embarrassed when she can't find her words on the phone, yet people still want to reach out to her. Any suggestions? Now, even though this question is pretty specific in terms of fear and anxiety surrounding the phone ringing and talking to people on the phone, this video and my response to this question can be helpful if you are in any situation where you're trying to calm your loved one's fear and anxiety or embarrassment about certain social situations. Before I get into my response to this Careblazer, I want to remind you that I am hosting a free online class coming up very shortly where I'm going to share with you my Careblazer map system for lowering your dementia caregiver stress and living a life where you feel as good as possible while going through all the challenges of caring for your loved one with dementia. I sure hope you'll join. There's a link below this video that you can click to save your spot. Now, while many people with dementia have something called anosognosia, which I've talked about before in past videos, where they don't realize they have problems with their thinking, to the common person, they might look like they're in denial of their problems thinking. In this situation, it's clear this Careblazer's mom knows that she has problems with her thinking. And in these cases, when the person with dementia realizes their brain isn't working as well as it did in the past, it can lead to a lot of fear, anxiety, embarrassment. It could also lead people with this type of awareness to no longer socialize, to decline outings, to no longer want to talk to people because they're so frightened about saying the wrong thing, getting something totally mixed up, and people looking at them in a strange way like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? So if your loved one has awareness that their brain is not working as good as it should, then this video will also be helpful for you. And that's clearly the case in this Careblazer's mom. She's really nervous and embarrassed about her children calling her on the phone, not knowing which child it's going to be, not knowing what to say, maybe saying the wrong thing. It's really important here, though, that even though this situation of the phone ringing, even though that brings this person with dementia a lot of anxiety, we don't want to remove all social interaction altogether. Social interaction for people with dementia is really important to help their mood and to help their thinking. So we've got to figure out, how can we keep this person with dementia, the social interactions and the phone calls happening while reducing anxiety and fear? So the big question we're asking here is, how do you best communicate with somebody who has dementia, who doesn't quite remember everything, might not even remember everybody in their family? How can we still communicate in a way that they're able to enjoy, in a way that doesn't bring up a lot of those anxieties? My big suggestion here, Careblazers, is to train the people calling. Now, even if your loved one doesn't have any fear or anxiety or embarrassment about talking on the phone, you can take this to train the people interacting with your loved one. We can't just tell our loved ones they don't need to be worried, it's okay, it's going to be fine. They're still going to have that experience. So in order to make the best progress in this situation, we have to train the people interacting with a person with dementia. A lot of people don't have training in how to communicate with somebody with dementia. A lot of people don't know what the best approach is to take. That's where you come in, and I want to share with you some ways this Careblazer can do it in this situation, and I hope you can take this and apply it to whatever situation you might be in with your loved one. So some general rules of thumb here is to, number one, train anybody or inform people. I guess train sounds a little formal, but inform the people who are interacting with your loved one with dementia. Inform them how to best communicate with your loved one. Share ideas with the people visiting and talking to your loved one about how to keep the conversation going. What are your loved one's interests? What seems to perk them up? What are they interested in? Give that information to the people interacting with your loved one, and so they can ask questions or even talk about those topics, even if the conversation is just one-sided and it's the family doing most of the talking versus the person with dementia. That's okay. Make sure they are not correcting your loved one with dementia. So if your loved one with dementia calls them by the wrong name or says something incorrectly, it's okay. The goal here is to have a nice conversation, to not work up the person with dementia's anxiety and fear. So it's okay to let some of the things go that aren't exactly correct. Also, especially for phone calls, you want to encourage the person calling to let them know immediately who the person is. So the person could call up and say, "Hey mom, it's Jake, your oldest son. I've been thinking about you. How are you doing?" So you don't make a big deal. It's very natural. It doesn't come off as, "I'm letting you know this is Jake in case you don't know who it is," or "I'm letting you know this is your oldest son in case you don't know who it is." It's like, "Hey mom, it's Jake, your oldest son. I miss you. What's going on?" Right? So you just get that introduction out of the way. It takes away the anxiety and fear of the person on the other end not really knowing who it is that's calling. You can also apply this technique in person situations. It's like, "Oh, hi, it's me, Mary. I live right next to you. I just noticed how beautiful your yard looks." So the introduction comes in the beginning. This really helps relieve the anxiety that the person with dementia might be feeling when somebody is talking to them and they can't place where that person is from, or they don't remember who that person is. Also, let the family know, let your siblings know that it's okay if every conversation sounds the same. It's okay if your mom wants to talk about the same thing over and over. The goal is not to have the most enlightening conversation with a new topic every time they call. The goal is to have that connection with their mom. So in order to have that connection with the mom, you kind of have to meet your mom where she's at. So just letting them know it's totally normal and it's okay if it's the same conversation every single time, that's all right. Also, take note of the things that your loved one's able to talk about easily. Those are topics you want to bring up over and over again to have that conversation. So these are usually things from long ago in the past. I also did a video on how to talk on the phone to somebody with dementia, and also something called reminiscence therapy that can really help conversations with the person who has dementia. It basically involves asking open-ended questions about things from long ago. Tell me about your first job. What did you do? What was the first car you drove? How did you spend summers as a kid? Like, tapping into their really long-term memory might bring you more success in having conversation with your loved one with dementia, whether on the phone or in person. Also, do not test your loved one's memory. A lot of times people do this and it's not a good thing for the person with dementia. So they might say, "Hey mom, do you know who this is who's calling?" And it's like, your mom might not know. So we don't want to test memory. Or it's like, "Hey, what did you do yesterday? Do you remember who came by?" You can just tell them who's calling. You can just tell them who came by yesterday and ask them how the visit was. You fill in those gaps in their memory that they might have. So testing somebody's memory with dementia is not a great idea in a conversation. Also, just letting the people know who call or stop by and talk to your loved one that sometimes it's just a 5-minute conversation and that's okay. Right? You don't have to sit there for 10 minutes or 30 minutes. A 5-minute conversation might be perfect for your loved one with dementia. We kind of have to rework our own expectations about what we think a good phone call is or what we think a good visit is. Also, you want to encourage people interacting with your loved one to reassure them, not necessarily reassure them like it's okay if you forget or it's okay that you don't remember, but just offering reassurance and validation like, "It was so nice talking to you today," or "It was so great hearing your voice, mom," or "I always enjoy talking to you." It's kind of building those good feelings and positive interaction, letting that person with dementia know everything's okay. You enjoyed the visit. So the more you can say those comments, the more likely it's going to help put your loved one at ease. So those are really general tips for how to have a conversation with somebody who has dementia, who might be a little bit hesitant to have that interaction because they know that their brain is not working as well as it used to and they might not remember things. I want to offer some specific tips for Chris's specific situation with his mom. So you mentioned in your question that your siblings still want to have that connection with their mom. So in addition to all the things that I talked about, right, which would still involve calling your mom, I would encourage you and your siblings to think about other ways to maintain connection. Perhaps it is sending cards, writing letters, maybe finding a way for phone calls to go straight to voicemail. And then when you visit, you pull up the voicemail and you listen to them together. And then maybe you assist her with making a video call where you're there with your mom and you're able to facilitate the conversation. So when there's a lull or you notice your mom's getting anxious, you can jump in and ask a question or say, "We're having a great time today." Chris, I hope this video helps you and your siblings as you continue to find ways to stay in touch with your mom. I also hope for all of you other Careblazers that this was helpful in terms of maybe how to relieve some anxiety if your loved one knows something's wrong. I hope to see many of you in my upcoming live class where I'll be sharing with you ways to lower your dementia caregiver stress, ways to feel better using my Careblazer map system. I'm very excited to share this. Click the link below this video. Also, if this video was helpful to you in any way, please consider clicking the red subscribe button on your screen. It's totally free, and the more people who click that red subscribe button, it makes it more likely that other Careblazers out there will be able to find this channel, okay? Careblazer, I'll be back next week. Bye. Welcome back, Careblazer. In today's video, I'm answering a question from a subscriber. Some general rules of thumb here. Wait, rules of thumb. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, Mom, I haven't seen you in forever. I don't know.